Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Next Gen Leadership Podcast with your host, Chase Merrill, and
Wes Wimberly. Bam, bam, bam.
Wow, this is brand new for us. We're doing this thing via Zoom.
Zoom.
And this is also our first video podcast. We're going to throw this up on YouTube as well. Somewhere. I don't know where yet. It'll be there. But if you're listening to this, we're looking at each other virtually through our screens and in different rooms. I'm in my closet. Behind me, I have a Collide West conference sweater. What do you call that? Actually, it's not a sweater. What is it?
Crew neck.
Crew neck. I was going to say hoodless
it's
hoodie.
It's like what I'm wearing right now.
Yeah. Back there just in memorable and it's, RIP Collide West Conference 2020 that we, before this, before our we haven't had a podcast in a few weeks, and up to last time we were recording, we were gearing up and getting ready for our annual youth conference. And, and now everything has changed.
Everything.
So this is the first,
literally everything.
Literally everything. This is our first podcast post coronavirus.
Mid.
Right. Well, right. I mean, as in we haven't had a podcast since this whole thing started, 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Like pre-trib, post-trib, mid-trib.
Yeah.
Mid-corona.
Right. We're mid-trib here. Dude, this is pretty nuts, man.
It's gnarly. It's gnarly, and it is honestly more surreal. Like when you really think about it for like longer than like 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Totally. Like you give it more than that 10, 15 second.
You give it more than like, oh yeah, like some flu hit the world, like you give it more than that, like any more than that. And you're like, what the heck is happening with our world?
No, that's so true. That's so funny. I've had that moment a couple of times where I'm like, I stopped doing something and I like actually like sit and I think about what in the world is actually happening.
Yeah.
And it does kind of bend the mind a little bit.
Yeah. And
it's about 30 seconds.
Yeah, and like what in the world is going to happen even.
Right.
That's even further.
Right. So we're sitting here and we're in the middle of the day trying to get some things done to continue to reach people with the gospel. I mean, you're currently live time uploading an Instagram video to our social media accounts for our youth social media for a sermon, a Wednesday challenge.
Oh, yeah.
So that's going on right now.
Instagram is not being super friendly, so it's my issue.
We love Instagram. Like I said, I'm here in my walk-in closet in my room, and have converted it into a little.
That's just like a tiny flex, like a walk-in closet. Well, my walk-in closet.
That wasn't at all my intention. I wanted more so to paint
that like yet. That's where we are.
Listen, the reason why I clarified it, the specificity of walk-in was because I wanted the people to know.
Even you weren't like scrunched up in a little.
Right. I'm in a closet, but like I can move. I can flap my arms around, and I'm not smacking walls here. Right.
I can
at least this way. If I go this way,
my closet is big enough for activities. Is really what you're saying.
Bro, listen.
My closet's about 2 inches deep, and it's got those doors that like kind of fold,
Yep. I feel you.
I'm in my guest room.
Right. I was gonna say, so for everybody that's not watching this and they're just listening, I might be in a walk-in closet, but you've got a dope hype poster behind you and basketball hoop.
Yeah.
So just so we're on the same page with who's got a cooler setup.
Just had to spruce it up. Now, if you were to look on the other side of the camera, you would not be as pumped as what you're seeing right now.
Oh,
it doesn't look great over there. I'll be honest.
Bro, you know what? This is kind of this is a perfect picture of we're trying to do with what we have, what we can with what we have,
Yeah.
And that's where so many people are at in so many different places of life right now. But the whole point of this conversation today is to check in a little bit, check in on people who are in the leadership space of trying to more effectively reach the next generation with the gospel. And that's part of our whole heart with the Next Gen Leadership Podcast. But we're in the middle, like you said, we're in the middle of coronavirus, and I just wanted to check in, for you and I, just take a couple minutes and just give a little bit of an update about how this thing's affecting our world, and then to take some time towards the end of this thing and encourage people, next gen leaders, how some things to just help them with where they are and continuing to effectively reach the next generation with the gospel. So with that, my guy Wes, dude, just give me a little check-in, give the people a little check-in. How is this whole thing like impacting you and your bride and just the Westworld?
Yeah.
Westworld,
Well,
not Westworld, just to be clear, because that's a show going on right now. Anyway.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Westworld.
I never heard of it.
Oh, it's like Marshawn Lynch is in it this season. It's like a big
What?
deal. Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I've just seen it a bunch on Twitter and stuff. I'm still on Twitter.
Cool.
So are you, by the way. You're on Twitter.
I am too, but not as much as you are. You're a little higher on the Twitter scale. Yeah, man. It's been a disruption, to say the least. I mean,
right.
We fortunately, my wife and I both work at the church that we staff at, and so we're both at home. I've spent a lot more time with my wife in the last couple weeks.
You guys probably gotten to know each other on a new level.
Yeah, and it's actually been really good. Unfortunate cause to the change of pace, but it has been a change of pace that amidst the chaos and the not great circumstance has been actually a nice change of pace for me. I think I think it's been a nice change of pace, but yeah, in the same, it's a hard thing to say because like in the same breath, it's like, our whole world is being disrupted, and I'm in a more fortunate place than a lot of people who are in a lot of stress right now. But yeah, it's been a huge change of pace. It's given me more time with my wife, more time at home, gone a little stir crazy, that's for sure. Yep. And then, if you want to talk ministry, that's a whole nother metamorphosis that has taken place.
Oh, big.
I think I got a new job, so I'm not sure though. I can't really tell. I think I'm upside down a little bit. Bro,
yeah, new job for sure. Anybody that's in the ministry space that's listening or watching, for a lot of us, it's been a literal upside down job change in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
For a lot of us. Yeah. Talk to me a little bit about, well, let me
give me yours.
Let me give you a quick life family update for us. We all are currently quarantined and Washington. We're in the state of Washington, the Pacific Northwest. So our governor, it's called stay home, stay healthy. A lot of other places it's shelter in place
or lockdown.
Right, or lockdown. But bottom line, we're quarantined.
Yeah.
You what? What are you saying?
I was gonna say our governor's a little light on the words.
A little more lenient with his with the language there. But stay home, stay healthy, shelter in place, quarantine. So we're all staying at our homes, working from home. From me, it's been definitely an adjustment. And like I said, we're trying to do what we can with what we have. And I've been enjoying the time with my family. It's also, I have so much more appreciation for a few different groups of people. One, moms that stay home with their kids and just try to navigate life and do work and do things with the kids going around all day. Cause we got two little ones and then an infant, our 2 boys, 4 and 2. And then Delaney's just like 3 or 4 months. So she's not a super, I just heard just now behind me, my door just rattled. That's gotta be Bo, our 2-year-old. That's a perfect example of some of the things I've been appreciating more than ever for people, moms that are trying to do life, for people that do work from home, for single moms. I've been gaining so much more appreciation for people that this is their daily normal. And at the same time, like, I love the little moments I'm getting, throughout the day, even though I really am working, and spending a lot of time on the stuff that we're trying to do to continue to effectively reach people. There's these little moments I get where even with those little interruptions with the door, busting open behind me, or the opportunity just to come downstairs and grab a snack and see my boys and give them hugs and wrestle with them for a couple of seconds, I've been cherishing that time. So Yeah, amidst the disruption, there's been some beautiful little glimpses of extra family time. I feel like I'm getting to
Yeah.
know my boys, and my bride, and Delaney as she's getting older, getting to know them a little bit more. So I've been loving that. And yet it's also been really draining and exhausting. I
Yeah.
mean, physically and emotionally and mentally, I feel like I've lived 6 months in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah. Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Where's my sense of time gone?
Yeah. Yeah. It's been
Like
like it's been like
yeah.
3 weeks.
Well, I had like an in-person service, like not like probably less than a month ago.
Yeah. Right. It was in March. I mean, we're
Was
in
it in March?
April. We're tech today. We are recording. It's April 1st, and
No way.
we had services in March.
That's
Yeah,
nuts.
straight up. We were in March. We were still going on 2 different mission trips. We were
Yeah.
preparing for our conference. That was March
Mission
20th to
trips,
22nd.
conference, yeah, all of it.
But yeah, so definitely exhausted. I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with that feeling.
Yeah.
But there's some light in it as well. Some great moments with family and just getting closer to people. So
Yeah.
the ministry side. Okay, so for your people that are in the ministry space, they're youth pastors, they're kids pastors, they're next generation leaders and pastors, or some degree of leadership. Lots has shifted. We kind of alluded to it earlier. A new job kind of
Yeah.
has happened for us as we begin to go, whoa, everything is changing on how we have to reach,
Yeah.
how we have to figure out how to reach the next generation in a different kind of way in space. So what's that looking like for you?
Yeah.
How has it impacted you?
Man, I mean, I think the biggest thing is it's a total shift in like it's a total shift in like how you think. I mean, really. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like practical changes, and we'll probably get into that in a couple minutes. But I think even more than anything, like, it's just like I feel like my cycles of thought now and how I reach people, how what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, what my plan is.
Right.
My cycles of thought now compared to like a month ago are completely different.
Right.
Like, I mean, night and day.
Yep.
But and so I mean that's crazy. But I think what it's shown me is like what the reality is, I can't rely on the two times a week that I would see my students. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think the biggest thing is like it's so much less like, okay, how do I get my students to want to come to me or come to the things that I'm putting on?
Right.
And more so like, how the heck do I get to them? Like, how do I get to them? I mean, literally in everything. So, I mean, it's this huge upside down flip of like, how do I, everything that I'm doing, how can it be on their turf, in their room, in their house? How can I get to them? So I think that, I mean, there's a lot of practical changes that we can talk about, but I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different way of thinking, different way of doing things.
Yeah. And I just tagged to that. Like, it's the biggest whole, like, kind of, ministry philosophy that's shifted. Method with the philosophy is like they come to us, like you just said. It is now we go to them, and that goes across the board for all the ministry world, that the adult ministry and children's family ministry, etc. There's no opportunity right now, at least, for they come to us option. So it's now we go to them, and that has shifted everything, because we banked a lot of money on our service we put together, our messages we put together, our flow to coming to this moment for an hour and 15 minutes together on a weekly basis, and that now is gone. So to your point,
it's gone.
Let's talk about, we'll take the last 10 15 minutes here and just talk about some of the things that we've seen and we've adjusted, and just to along those lines, encourage other pastors and leaders that are in this space, just that are struggling or going like, what do I do? How do I do this? Just in some of the things that we've learned even in the last 3 weeks as we've been in the middle of all this stuff. Just start kind of sharing some of those things there. So, anything stand out?
Yeah, I think something that we've realized is the need for connection is much greater now. You know what I mean? Yep. And I think something I thought about was like, I think we underestimated the power of seeing one another.
Yeah, totally.
Like what that did.
We just kind of got spoiled and assumed it was always just going to be there, and we didn't really take advantage of. We took it for granted. Yeah,
absolutely. I think there was so much power and connectivity of like, okay, like I'm going to my youth service, or I'm going to this thing, and we get to see each other. And what I think is so unique about that is like there may have not been these great conversations that we had, maybe it was just casual talking or just, just being in the same room,
Right.
but that was a form of connection that is no longer.
Right.
And so I think what we're seeing is we have to make up for that lack of face-to-face, that lack of being in the same room with like the other side, which I honestly think is really beneficial. Like, because I think it's caused us to up our like actual, like conversational connection and,
Totally.
and like actual, like, let's have a conversation. Let's talk.
Right.
Cause that has to go up because you don't
Right.
get to see each other. I mean, it's just like
Right.
when you have a relative that's like out of state, out of town, I mean, you got to talk to them more.
Right.
Because you don't see them as much. Right.
Right.
I
You have to be more intentional.
Yeah. I have siblings that live in the state, live in my same city. And I have siblings that live states away.
Right.
And so I feel closer to the ones that are in state because I see them. I have a face-to-face interaction, but my siblings out of state, I don't see them on a regular basis. So when we talk, it's this like, let's catch up on all the things. And so I think we're seeing like a mini version of that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. And on that world of connection, I mean, like part of the conversations we've been having is this, I think what we're seeing an excessive, that's the word I'm going to choose to use. And we've been a part of it to some degree, an excessive amount of content that has been, right. So like part of, I think some of what we've been trying to do to solve the problem of the disconnect of not being able to gather is like, let's produce more content to reach our students. Well, I could see this thing, the trajectory of this thing. It's already happening where I like scroll through for 4 seconds on any social media platform, and I'm overwhelmed with the amount of content from everybody and their mom. And it's not just pastors and leaders. It's literally like, your Aunt Ruth who is posting, her devotional for the day, which is awesome. Praise God. People are using their platforms to point people to Jesus and encourage. And I love that.
Everyone's pushing stuff out.
Right. And so I think where I could see a trajectory of this going in the next several weeks, and probably not even that much longer, honestly, I think it's probably already happening now, is there's a content overload. There's going to become a content exhaustion. And I think students are going to start feeling that more than ever. And they're going to start checking out a little bit. The content is probably going to become a little bit diluted to them, even though what is actually being said in the content is not diluted. But I think there's going to be so much content that if we're not careful to be strategically creating connection points, then the content will be pretty irrelevant. So I think part of that, we've been having this conversation, is like they don't necessarily need more content. They need more opportunities for connection, because that's what's missing and lacking right now more than ever. That they had that when they got to come to a youth service or a life group or whatever. And so just to encourage people that are in this space, like fight for those ways to connect with your students, with your leaders, with the people that you're leading, as much as you can virtually. And, we're doing that through Zoom. I know lots of people are finding those options through Zoom or Google Hangouts or different mediums like that. I know one of the things we've been doing is we call it Sunday Night Live, but we get together Sunday nights with our 2 youth group accounts on Instagram, middle school and high school accounts. And then we also stream on YouTube as we Zoom, like we're doing right now for the video of this, if you're just listening. But, and it gives students an opportunity to jump on, watch, and not just get more content, but really engage with us and with our leaders. And I think that piece of connection is huge for right now. Because that's the thing that they're, like you kind of mentioned, that they're missing and longing for more than anything else.
Yeah.
And so
we got
to get good at virtual connection.
Yeah. And I think something I noticed that when you're talking is, I think what back when we were together, right? I think what was an afterthought then is becoming the main priority now.
Yeah, that's good.
So for me, I think like a lot of times, like for our service, like, and I'm speaking more of like in our service, like our service is filled with, 20 to 25 minutes of worship, like worship and a message are the biggest priorities.
Right.
Let's fill a lot of our time with that. And then let's gather up and pray for each other for 5 minutes at the end. Right. That's how a lot of groups are looking right now. Sure. Like, let's get all this content, and let's talk about it for 10 minutes. Let's talk about it for 15 minutes. And I think what's switching is like, now it's like, let's less like we don't you don't need. I think what we need to get outside of the box is like stop trying to like transport your service into
Totally.
a virtual thing of like, let's fill it with announcements and worship and, you know, a full preaching message. And, I think it's got to switch to like, give them a thought to think about, give them a challenge to be encouraged. I mean, give them an encouragement, equip them in some way, but then connect the crap out of them. I mean, like, you just got to connect with it. You got to connect with them. So I think it's totally, I think it's flipping everything on its head, which I think is a good thing.
I agree. Well, and I think honestly, like if anybody's paying attention to any of their analytics, and I speak to like YouTube analytics, Instagram, any of that stuff where you look at the actual specific watch time, retention rate of any content that you're sending. Like, I mean, our YouTube channel for our youth page, Living Water Youth on YouTube, we've got, a few different videos we put up there. And it's pretty telling to see that, we put up a 20-minute message, which is already 10 to 15 minutes, maybe even 20 minutes shorter than some of our normal, messages. I can only speak for me. I can't necessarily speak for you, but
I'm just as bad as you.
If you go to our podcast from our sermons, we recorded our youth service from before all this stuff happened. There's some messages on there where I'm up to 40 minutes, right? So all that to say, you go to our page now, we do little 20 minute videos, and some of that watch time is like 3.5 minutes, and that's like average retention. So now, not all of that. There are some students that are watching the whole thing, and I think that that's valuable. But that should be telling us something about, to your point, that like right now, that's not connecting to them and reaching them in the way that we might think that it is. So maybe more attention and time can be focused towards creating lesser length of content and greater length of connection moments that happen following up the content, or in different mediums. And so that's something that, this is all mid processing for me and you, right? We're not sitting on the other side of this thing to have it figured out. You said it a little bit as we got in this conversation, like, we're not going to really necessarily offer anybody anything. We're in the middle of like kind of in the weeds of drowning a little bit through this, but we're learning. And so I think part of why we're having this conversation today is because there are things we're learning right now that I think can be helpful for people if they listen to it, to wrestle with for their own context and their own situation. And so connection, I think, over content right now. I don't think it means eliminating content. I don't think it means not having a high degree of excellence or standard for your content.
Yeah, because even though there's a ton of content, a small amount of content from you who has personalized, somewhat of relational equity with the people that you are ministering to is that's the content they need. Because they're going to get content everywhere, but that little chunk, even if it's small, with someone that they recognize, a face that they're familiar at, I think that's I think that's important.
Right. And to that point about the personal side, the Instagram Live and YouTube Live thing we're doing together on Sunday nights for our groups, I think there's probably kids that feel like they've got more opportunity and insight and access to us via being able to engage on Instagram Live and ask questions and get prayer requests than maybe they even got before this all happened. I know that there's some different, some caveats to all that, but I think I'm loving that opportunity that we have right now in this moment to kind of shift some of these things that maybe if we really were looking at it, like weren't even as effective as we thought they were before coronavirus anyway.
Yeah.
What would be go ahead.
No, go. You go.
Oh, I know. I was about to kind of go towards the end of wrapping this thing up with an encouragement.
Well, I think this is kind of my biggest thought though. My last thought is that, like, I think I don't want to say unfortunate, but I feel that at first, like it's almost unfortunate that connection and engagement has only become this high of a priority through a pandemic.
Right.
And I think like if we lose this high priority of like because that's the question everybody's asking. How do I engage my students? How do I connect with my students in a time where I don't see them face to face? And so I think that priority, that high priority of connection engagement has to come out on the other side when we have face-to-face connections to rely on. I think it's still, because I think, man, we just like, think about a month ago or wherever you're at, maybe we're in, one of the bigger spots of the pandemic, but wherever you're at, whether it was 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago that you were having services, like think about how you viewed connection and engagement. I mean, it was just, you were thinking about, and I'm talking to me too, but like you were thinking about how like what's your third point on your message? You know what I mean? Like that was the biggest thing on your mind during the, I don't know. So I think we have to recognize the priority shift that I think is healthy, and I think is God ordained amidst
it's gotta stick with us once this thing kind of passes. Yeah, I agree. I think my closing piece of encouragement challenge for leaders is, especially those that are helping produce and put out content. I said that I challenged our youth students on, I think this last Sunday night when we did our Sunday Night Live on Instagram and YouTube, just with this thought, closing things up. To the same way I want to challenge leaders with it, but be careful / be intentional about encouraging and challenging your students with your content to find moments in this season away from your content with the Lord by themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to create a dependency right now, because that very easily, if we're not careful as leaders, as pastors, as people, next gen leaders trying to reach our students, very unintentionally, we accidentally almost, we can create a dependency, as a byproduct of producing so much daily, weekly, monthly content to reach our students, a dependency that they have now on us to be fed in a different kind of way, because there's so much happening. And what I don't want to do is create this dependency where they have to have a devotional video for me to feel like they can go get in God's word and hear something from the Lord. I want my content to really begin to push and challenge our students and our leaders into their own time with the Lord, where they're disconnecting from the videos and all of the screens, and they're hearing from the Spirit of God, and they're opening up the scriptures, and they're spending time in God's presence. And if my content is not helping push that more and more and more, I think I'm doing something wrong. And I don't want to create this world where like they feel like they have to have a message from me or an encouragement from me in order to go hear from God, because that will produce something that will produce a malnutritious, immature disciple of Jesus. And our mission is to make disciples who make disciples, bringing the whole gospel to the whole person. And I think that leaders need to be intentional with their content about getting their students and leaders into those spaces where they're really learning how to go hear from God for themselves without the connection to the digital device and the technology that we are using to connect right now.
Yeah, that's really good.
But man, I love that I think about the reality that like we are, and leaders listening to this for such a time as this, like
that's right.
You are alive in this generation for this moment to step in and lead. God did not, this is not throwing God for the loop of like, oh, I wish I would have had a bunch of Billy Graham and his people ready for this thing. If I would have known, I would have like made sure this pandemic happened in 1950, 60, whatever, 70, because there would have been some stronger Christians there to help. No, like God knew. He's sovereign. You are where you are for a reason. Your calling does not shift because the pandemic is changing everything upside down. It's not like all of a sudden, am I even called to be a ministry anymore? Like, no, you are called for such a time as this to step into the crisis and the fray and be a representative of Christ and bring light into the darkness. And so, I just love, for you specifically, dude, I just love I get to do this with you right now, leading in the space that we get to reach our students and beyond. And man, if you're a next gen leader, be encouraged. Like you have more than you need with the Lord. He's got you. Do what you can with what you have. Don't try to replicate the excellence or perfection of everything you're seeing around you. Be faithful to what God's called you to do and to be. Reach your students the best you possibly can. Love them. Connect with them. Depend on the Lord for your guidance and your direction, and He will guide and direct you.
Yeah. And just on that, because for such a time as this, it comes from Esther, and Esther's told, like, if you don't do this, deliverance is going to come from somewhere else. Right. And I think that so applies to whether you're a youth pastor, a kids pastor, any kind of leader, which if you got breath in your lungs, you're a leader. I think, man, God's gonna use something and someone in the season.
Right.
So why not you? Why not you?
Right.
Why not you? So
Yeah.
be encouraged. Why not you?
Amen. Well, we're praying for you as next gen leaders ourselves. We're in this with
Yeah.
you, and if you're listening and watching, just know, like, you're gonna see something on the other side of this thing that you would have never seen in your own life and in the lives that you're impacting had it not
That's
been
right.
for what we get to walk through together with the Lord. He is with you. He is with you. He is with you. Until
Amen.
next time, we love you. We'll see you soon.
Peace.